Greetings, my name is Dan Sabo. A few months back I created a trio of videos for YouTube, and sometime after I posted the 3 videos, which by the way I will reference the titles of those 3 videos in the comment section of this upload, the person that saw one of the videos said, well, yes, yours is a special case, but psychotherapy is very safe and effective. It's helped millions of people in America, and I agree with that in principle. The only problem is there's a mound of growing literature indicating otherwise, that at times psychotherapy can be very harmful or even damaging to people. This is just a tip of the iceberg of the available literature and research online. I'm going to focus on just 3 to answer the assertions of that one individual. And again, I'll put links to everything I'm going to discuss, links to the research papers and literature in the comment section. But the one I'm going to focus on first, this is titled Definition, Assessment, and Rate of Psychotherapy Side Effects. Lead author is Michael Linden. This is out of the research group Psychosomatic Rehabilitation out of Berlin. Now, even though this particular paper is out of Europe, it references the American Psychological Association. And I'm going to read this particular excerpt for you. It's on the 2nd page. And it states, at present, I'm quoting the article here, the paper right now. At present, it is not possible to report precise data on the rate and type of side effects of different forms of psychotherapy. Only very few papers were found when searching in PsycInfo and PubMed. By the way, those are APA sources. From 1954 until now, for journal articles which have in their title the keyword psychotherapy in combination with side effects. So what they're saying is that the psychotherapy industry as a whole does not know what they don't know, and it seems like they don't want to find out how badly psychotherapy can harm folks. The piece goes on to say only 21% of researchers indicated that some type of monitoring of harms had been done, and only 3% provided a description of adverse events as well as the methods used for collection. So to go on here, the work states there are a few specific side effects which have gained special attention. Patients reported burdens caused by therapy in 19.7% of cases when treated with cognitive behavioral therapy, 20.4% with systemic psychotherapy, 64.8% with humanistic psychotherapy, and 94.1% with psychodynamic psychotherapy. It goes on to state, in summary, there is an emerging consensus that unwanted events should be expected in about 5 to 20% of psychotherapy patients. They include treatment failure and deterioration of symptoms, emergence of new symptoms, suicidality, occupational problems or stigmatization, changes in the social network or strains in relationships, therapy dependence, or undermining self-efficacy. And in the conclusion section, it states, despite the lack of sound empirical data, one can conclude that psychotherapy is not free of side effects. Negative consequences concern not only symptoms, like an increase in anxiety or course of illness, like enduring false memories, but also negative changes in family, occupation, or general adjustment in life. Consequences like job loss or divorce can be lasting, costly, and detrimental for the patient and his or her environment. As therapists and scientists alike are to some degree salesmen of their treatment, they are as trustworthy as pharmaceutical companies. They have good intentions and conflicts of interest as well. And at the very end it states, it should be mandatory for all controlled clinical trials and psychotherapy research to thoroughly look for unwanted events and side effects. More reliable data are needed in order to allow an estimate of the true risks of psychotherapy. So here it is, right here you have it. The profession itself knows that there are inherent problems in the trade, but they don't want to find out what they are. And what is really upsetting to me and frustrating is that you have so many psychotherapists out there peddling their wares on YouTube, on the internet, and making all kinds of claims and assertions and recommendations that they have nothing to back up their assertions with as far as clinical trials are concerned. So that's one study I wanted to bring up. Here's another one. This one is called Negative Effects in Psychotherapy, Commentary and Recommendations for Future Research in Clinical Practice. Now, this is basically, from what I understand, it's in essence it's a survey of researchers to find out what the problems are in the psychotherapy industry as far as research is concerned and what's needed. And the conclusion on page 1, again, I'm going to reference this study in the links in the comments section. The conclusion states, in very short terms, negative effects of psychotherapy are multifaceted, warranting careful considerations in order for them to be monitored and reported in research settings and routine care. And a couple of other points that this study brings up. It states here on the second page, the use of practices for assessing deterioration is still missing in most contexts, despite evidence suggesting that the rate of deterioration can be reduced from 23.2% to 15.2% just by using in-between session monitoring. And it could be as low as 8.5% by also producing the clinician with the tools for problem solving. Moreover, reporting negative effects of psychotherapy is still not mandatory in most scientific journals, making it difficult to determine their occurrence and characteristics. So what they're saying is that a lot of these glowing studies that come out about how wonderful and effective psychotherapy is, they don't even include the bad stuff. They don't include what the negative effects are of psychotherapy. And I think it's because they don't want to know. They don't want to know, and they don't want their clients to know how bad it can get. So everything I've seen in the professional literature as of late pretty much backs up how badly people can get harmed. Every situation is different. Mine is probably quite different than other folks, but in the long run, there needs to be more stringent clinical research giving clients, potential clients, all of the information, not just the good stuff. People want to hear what bad happens too. Deterioration, I'm quoting again, deterioration is difficult to distinguish based on clinical judgment alone, and evidence suggests that clinicians are often poor at recognizing if a patient has worsened. Here's another quote. Negative effects of psychotherapy presently lack a clear and coherent terminology, possibly restricting the monitoring and reporting of their incidents. I think it's by design. And one thing that really is jaw-dropping to me is that the vast majority of scientific publications that publish clinical research on psychotherapy, they don't include the negative effects or the side effects or the bad outcomes of therapy. It should be required. No study should be done on different forms of psychotherapy unless you're going to put all the information in, good and bad. Negative effects are here's another quote, negative effects are increasingly being reported in peer-reviewed journals, even though far from every clinical trial includes this information. So why is this? Why are they trying to hide the truth? And it's all about money. Furthermore, here's another quotation. Many researchers are still unaware of detrimental effects in psychotherapy, despite the fact that it has been the topic of great debate for many years. Lack of knowledge concerning negative effects, therefore, poses one of the greatest threats to the monitoring and reporting of their incidents. Here's another citation. Meanwhile, both clinicians and researchers need to be informed about the possibility that treatments are not without risks, especially since prior evidence implies that clinical training seldom includes information about negative effects. So even when folks go to school to get an advanced degree, master's or PhD in any kind of a mental health profession, they aren't even taught about the negative effects. So if they're not taught about the potential negative effects, they're sure as not hell not going to report them in clinical trials. So this is just a tip of the iceberg. Now here's an example. One therapist actually came out, and I'm very happy that somebody was able to come out and say that it can cause harm. This is an article by Susan Heitler, PhD. She wrote it for, I believe it was, Psychology Today. This came out about 7 years ago. And the title of the article is Individual Therapy for Married People, a Huge Mistake. And that was kind of my situation, only with my significant other. And she says at the very end, and if you saw my previous video on psychotherapy by proxy or casual sex couples counseling, I'll put links to the bottom at the bottom of the comment section. You'll understand, but she states at the very end, I generally encourage all new clients to bring their spouse at least to the first session. I say it's my policy. If the spouse still won't join us, I offer to phone the spouse myself, which often proves effective. Now, I'll tell you what, that could have saved me a lot of distress if a therapist that I referenced in the previous video had done that. If a therapist is going to do couples counseling or marital counseling with only one client present taking therapy, well, that's highly unethical. And if therapists are going to give out relationship advice to their clients, whether it's marriage advice or relationship advice, or that really is an ethical breach, and you shouldn't be using a client to send psych assessments to third parties through their clients. So there needs to be some kind of regulation, tougher regulation to better control this Wild West mentality of the psychotherapy industry, because right now, in my opinion, it's out of control. Now, I got a message from actually a therapist some time ago, and she told me, I'm just quoting this person, I'm not going to mention this therapist's name, but the therapist told me, if a therapist is giving advice to a client to have sex or not have sex, regardless of PTSD or trauma, to me, this would be an ethical and reportable issue. Well, okay, clients can report stuff if they've been harmed to state licensing boards. When I did that, I had to wait 14 months, and then I was just really laughed out of the situation. These licensing boards don't take these complaints seriously. So all I'm saying is the psychotherapy industry in the state of Michigan and the United States is really out of control. Tougher regulation needs to be enforced. Client complaints need to be taken seriously. They need to be acted on in a timely manner. And the psychotherapy industry as a whole in the United States needs to clean up its act. Because why should somebody like me trust any psychotherapist again? For me, that option is pretty much passed, because I have so much frustration and anger towards the profession. I'm never going to go back. And even though many years prior to this incident I mentioned in the previous videos happening, I was very open-minded about it. I'm very jaded about it now, and I'm finding alternative means to live a healthy, happy life. But why should clients trust any of you psychotherapists if you're going to play fast and loose with the rules, and you're not even interested to even learn how badly you can hurt people? So I think that's all I wanted to say for now in this video. Thanks for looking in, and I'll probably be doing several more on related subjects in this area. Thanks very much, and have a nice day.